Before you watch the video, we kindly ask that you hit the like button. It costs you nothing, helps us a lot. On to the show. Super duty tough work. Blueprint. Illogic, my illustrious co-host. Back again. Y'all know what we do. We do these things. Last week, epic episode.
Yes.
Who else gives it to you like that, man? The real. You know what I'm saying? And so, last week we had Brother Ali on the show for a 2.5 hour, interview episode that went a lot of places, uncharted territory, extreme honesty and humility and vulnerability, and just a beautiful conversation, man. And I want to thank him for hopping on. I want to thank you, the listener, for listening. And for everybody who's been retweeting it, reposting the clips, spreading the word, sending me texts, sending me DMs about the episode. I've talked to, I've got a couple texts this week from people who said that they were going to actually go apologize to people in their lives. After I admitted I went on my apology tour in the last episode, they were like, yeah, I think I need to do something like that too. Like you inspired me to go do it. You know what I mean? And so, there was many.
I guess there's a lot of us that's been assholes to people, huh?
No, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this shit. I can't be, man. I can't be, man. But it's part of it, man. It's part of the journey. We all make mistakes, on this podcast. I think we definitely do not portray ourselves as knowing everything or as being perfect. It's not our thing at all. So what we want to do is just share the reality of what we go through. And hopefully y'all as listeners will kind of take something of it and be inspired by it. And so, we thank y'all for listening last week. This week, man, we got a topic that has been a long time coming. I wanted to touch on this topic for a while, but, it's something where you got to have the right set up for it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we want to talk about this week about mental health in the music industry. The wildest thing about this is I bumped into a brother last week at your show, Jawar, Kirk, and he was telling me he was there with some of his military guys. Mm-hmm. And he was just talking about how a lot of guys he's been in service with, shout out to him if that brother's listening, about how a lot of guys he's been in, he served with were committing suicide and having mental health issues. And a lot of what he felt it was we didn't let each other know it's okay. We got to constantly be reaching out to each other and just checking in, and he was like, yo, y'all should do an episode about mental health. And I was like, damn, we should. But I was like, I don't know exactly how to approach it. I was like, I know it's come up before with us. I said, but I just didn't know how to approach it, And so as I'm looking around this week at some articles, I see an article about the suicide rate in the music industry. And it's very alarming. And so this episode, we just want to talk about this article, talk about just our experience in the music industry, what you can do to maybe avoid some of these traps, Because shit, as guys who've been doing as long as we have, we've seen our share of ups and downs. And so this episode is called Mental Health in the Music Industry. And if you've ever had a hard time, or you've ever been stressed out about stuff in here, whether you make it, whether you don't, whether you're hurt or not, this episode is for you. And we hope that you will appreciate where we're taking it and spread the word. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
We got you stuck off the realness, the most infamous, you heard of us. Official podcast murderers, the show comes equipped with viewpoints to share. Grown man ideas for all those who care and want to grow. So go ahead and download every single week with a brand new episode. You're not alone in this world, cousin. So we share information and honest discussion and keep repping the culture like we supposed to. They spread gossip, but they never come close to. I can hear it inside their tone. They talk about the industry but never left their home. You get laced up with bullet points and such, plus empowering topics that they never would touch. You can put your whole network against a team, but Super Duty Tough Work's the MVP. Most valuable podcast on MP3. Priceless info, but all of it's free. So take these words home and think them through. Super Duty Tough Work is coming at you. You are now listening to Super Duty Tough Work with your host, Blueprint. Raw and uncut, adult conversations. No shucking, no jiving, and no bullshit.
But this article is titled, High Suicide Rates Show Music Industry Profoundly Dangerous, Researchers Say. And it goes like this. Calls for more support as study finds musicians in England and US have the highest rates of suicide. Musicians have one of the highest suicide rates in the world because the music business contains so many difficulties such as intense touring, performance anxiety, and low earnings, researchers have suggested. The finding that unusually large numbers of musicians take their own lives show that the music industry is a profoundly dangerous place, according to a co-author of the study. Dr. George Musgrave, a sociologist at Goldsmiths, University of London, said, "The statistics are alarming, shocking. The rates of suicide among musicians, which we reveal in this new research, paints a picture of a music industry which is demonstrably unsafe. No other industry would tolerate this level of loss of life, and neither should we. The industry needs to get its house in order to confront levels of mortality, which are profoundly upsetting and need to be tackled." Musgrave's study, published in the journal Frontiers of Public Health, found that musicians in England had the fourth highest suicide rate of any occupational group in England, behind construction workers, building finishing tradespeople, and agricultural workers. Those working as musicians, actors, and entertainers were the highest risk group within the occupational group defined by the Office for National Statistics as culture, media, and sports occupations, in which overall the suicide rate for males was 20% higher than the male average, and for females was 69% higher. Good grief. Says the report, which was co-authored by Dr. Dorian Lamis, a psychologist at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. They found a similar picture in the U.S. The arts, design, entertainment, sports, and media category, which includes musicians, had the highest female suicide rate of any occupation group in 2012, 2015, and 2021. And men in that category had the third highest rate at 138.7 per 100,000 population, which was almost 10 times higher than the national average. Musgrave, who was once signed to Sony Music as a rapper, said, "Occupational mortality data in the US and the UK should make all of us who love and care about music stop and pause." He dismissed as a myth the idea that the high suicide rate in music industry could be because artists are troubled, brooding, dark, mysterious, mad, and by extension, in extremis, perhaps suicidal. The research highlighted an array of risk factors for musicians, including high levels of anxiety and depression, economic insecurity, a quest for perfection in their output, stressful life events that may have inspired their creativity, and loneliness, as well as the stress of performing in public and receiving attention on social media. According to a 2023 survey by the Musicians Union and the charity Help Musicians, 3 out of 10 UK musicians have experienced poor mental well-being. Naomi Pohl, the MU's general secretary, said, "The industry has woken up to mental health issues affecting musicians over the past few years to a certain extent, but there is a lot more that can be done to offer support and promote well-being." Asked if she agreed with Musgrave that music was an unsafe industry, Pohl said, "It can be, but I don't think it is for everyone. There are some employers that have a robust mental health support for musicians." But she said freelance musicians, who make up 70% of the workforce, faced particular trouble accessing mental health support because they could not claim sick pay and often had no direct colleagues or managers to talk problems through with. Sarah Woods, the chief executive of the charity Help Musicians, has said, "Diluted revenue streams, fewer opportunities to perform, a struggling grassroots circuit, and less money available for fans to spend are leaving musicians in a poor financial predicament." That, in turn, was a constant threat that could not only see musicians leave the industry, but one that presents a real risk to mental health in the profession, she said. The charity set up Music Minds Matter, which provides 24/7 help to people in the music industry in response to a growing need for well-being support. The 3 big labels, Sony, Warner Music, and Universal Music, have responded to increase awareness of musicians' mental health struggles by putting in place more support. Sony appointed a director of artist and employee well-being in 2021. But Musgrave and Lamis argue the industry still needs to do much more to reduce risk, including implementing a zero suicide framework that is already in use in other sectors. The end.
Wow.
Logic, I'll let you go first. What do you think?
Sad, man. I mean, it's sad. It's one of those things where you look at, what, especially for independent musicians, like, what are the contributing factors? And like they mentioned, especially after the pandemic, during the pandemic, in those times, lack of money, people not spending as much money. But you also have just the advent of social media has given people this delusional mirror that they hold up to themselves, where they're comparing themselves to everybody else's views and everybody else's likes and how many followers this person has and that person has and all that stuff. And, it gives you a false sense of reality. It gives you a false sense of, everything is disproportionate to what is real. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion. And it's wild that it's that deep. You know what I mean? Like, we grew up in a time where our comparison to each other made us work harder, made us push harder, made us want to be better. And, also we grew up in a time where we saw, and I'm still sure it's still like this for some people, but we saw the page, writing as an escape, as, a form of mental health, therapy, and giving us something to, get those thoughts and feelings out when we had. I mean, I have multiple songs about my mental health throughout my career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but that had nothing to do with music. Music was the thing that helped me escape that and get delivered from that.
Yeah.
So it's just wild to see how it's kind of flipped on its head these days. And I think a lot of it has to do with, this ideal thinking of what they're supposed to be doing when they're looking at social media and the cat that they think they're better than, and how he got, 100K followers and I only got 7,000 and I rap way better than him, or I'm a better singer, or I'm cuter than her, or, you know what I'm saying? Like shit like that can really mess up people's idea of what, they should be and where they should be in their lives. And if it ever gets like that, like call somebody or just stop. You know what I'm saying? Just close your phone, turn off the computer, like something,
Yeah. Yeah. When I first saw the article, I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely shocked. Like, we talk about certain issues, depression, things like that, and anecdotally, every now and again, we'll see a rapper maybe commit suicide or something like that, or we'll hear something about it. But it's like, it doesn't seem like it's in the forefront like that, just as far as what we see. But those numbers are very fucking alarming. You talking about the female rate being 20 times the national rate?
It was 60. It was 69%.
69%. Yeah, it was like
the guys
69% higher. Guys are 20%. Yeah, and women's was almost 70% higher than the national.
Yeah, almost 70% higher.
This is incredibly bad.
Yes.
It's awful, man. And it really kind of hit me like, damn, maybe this does need to be spoken about. I don't know, we don't have all the answers. We just want to provide the forum and let people know it's okay. But I think the first step in all of this is awareness. Like we have to make sure that people know that this is going on, because you might be thinking that as an artist, you're big, bad, and you're strong and you can work your way through this and it's no problem. And I don't need to talk to anybody because the nature of what we do every day. But the numbers are saying that we are more susceptible to this than damn near any other occupation.
Yeah.
And you and I have had a lot of different jobs. And, it's wild to think that music is like that, but I can definitely say I can see it. I can see it, it's unfortunate, but I can see it, but yeah, it's a fucked up fucking statistic, man. And
it's super wild.
Yeah. Like I want to talk about in this episode, I want us to just kind of go through, me and Illogic, and maybe speak about some of like our most stressed times in this and what we did. And, I like us to also just sit down and kind of compare some jobs we had to this, because I want to give some people some perspective in this. Like I've been doing this over 20 years and I would be lying if I said there wasn't times I wasn't stressed or freaking out about certain shit within it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know how it was going to play out. So I think I want to just take some time, we'll take a break and we come back. I want to just talk about like some of our lows and how we are still here, because I think it's very important that people hear that, because sometimes you'll be in a low and you will think that that's it, and you just on a, you're just in the dip, man. You just got to make it through that dip. You make it through that dip, you get to the other side, you'll probably be okay, but we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Sure.
Quick announcement. We have officially launched the Super Duty Tough Work website, and we would like to officially invite you as a listener of the show to go check it out. The website is superdutytoughwork.net. Again, that's superdutytoughwork.net. Go there and check out the site. You can do 4 things on there right now. The first thing you can do is listen to the podcast. Second thing you can do is purchase books. The third thing you can do is book coaching calls. And the fourth thing you can do on the website is purchase ads for your business on the show. So this is the first time you have been able to do that all in one place. So please take a second, go over to superdutytoughwork.net, sign up for our email newsletter over there, and support the movement. Back to the show. Are you an artist who has the talent to succeed, but has a hard time executing? Do you have the will to win, but lack the plan? Are you tired of having great ideas that never come to fruition, or starting new projects but never finishing them? If you answered yes to any of these questions, reach out to me at superdutytoughwork at waitlist.net to book a one-on-one coaching call. Tell me a little bit about who you are, what you're trying to do, and I'll see if I can be of service to you. Have a great day. All right, folks, we back. We are back. Super Duty Tough Work, the most infamous podcast on planet Earth. This week, we're talking about mental health in the music industry. You heard the first segment where we read down the study that was done between UK and United States artists, revealing that the music industry is particularly dangerous when it comes to suicide. Much higher suicide rates in this industry than damn near anything else. And kind of surprising, kind of shocking, but we want everybody to know that this is an ebb and flow. You know, we're your OGs, we're your uncles, and Unc and them done been through some shit.
Yes,
some stressful times, and we're still here talking about it. So, you know, Illogic, I'd like you to just weigh in if you can think of any particularly thing that might have had you kind of just like down, and how did you kind of get through that?
Well, I mean, honestly, just recently in the last couple years, I was going through a lot of shit in my personal life that really affected my music. My wife got diagnosed with cancer, with 2 types of cancer. Had some, issues with my kids. Crib got shot up a couple times. Like it was some crazy stuff. And usually, for me, the music is kind of my escape from all that.
Yeah. And
for some reason, the music, it was so much going on that the music wasn't there for me. Like it wasn't, I couldn't get the stuff out through the outlet that I usually used. And in all of that, I got super depressed. I was super down, and just thinking like, maybe this is it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I don't have it no more. Maybe, this just, maybe I'm done. Maybe I've had my run, and what I'm saying? And I got to find something else to do. But, it's such a part of me that I was just down, like, is it gone? And what I did, to get some help, I actually sought therapy. I had a therapist, did therapy for like a year, and really dove into some personal stuff and just how my dependence on music was affecting how I dealt with life in general. Yeah. And I had to learn I needed more balance in my life. And those are kind of some of the things that I learned in that time. But, I was so down thinking that, my career was over because I couldn't write anymore. I couldn't write about the things that I needed to write about. I was still doing features here and there and, little stuff, but I felt like the stuff I was writing didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't writing, like I said, the stuff that I felt I needed to write, and I didn't feel like I could write that stuff. I felt like I had to channel that energy somewhere else, and I didn't know where to channel it because usually my pen and pad was where I channeled everything. So I sought therapy for about a year and kind of worked myself back to a place where I had to come to an understanding that, this is a part of me, and when it's time, it's time. When I'm ready to actually release those things, I'll be able to release those things. And then you started sending me beats, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that was like the last step in your recovery.
Yes, literally, man. Yeah. Like it was the last step because I had so much bottled up.
Yeah.
And it was, it wasn't necessarily from music, but not having the music, was really painful for me. And I got many stories about, just being depressed, with music and shit. Like, yeah, we've been doing this so long. It's not it's not, the coffer's not going to be empty on stories about that kind of shit.
Yeah, no, that's real, man. I appreciate you sharing that, man. That's because, I remember all that stuff was going on, but even you didn't even tell me until after things were happening,
Yeah. I was just in it. I was in it so deep. I ain't really talked to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like none of my friends knew about it. I tell you everything. You know what I mean? And the fact that you didn't even know, you know what I'm saying, I was in it. you know, and I didn't know where to turn, and I didn't want to burden everybody with my shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like just feeling all that, you know,
That's the key though. Like
it was a hard time. Yeah.
It's okay to do that, right? Like
Yeah.
we need everybody listening. It's okay, you know, to say, man, I got some fucked up shit going on. Can I just get this off my chest? You got a couple minutes, man. Can I just, you know, because sometimes we assume, like you're saying, we're burdening people. But to me, I look at it like that's the price of friendship.
Yeah. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. That's the price of admission. The price of admission for me being your friend is that's what I'm doing. I'm on that. When you need that, I'm there. And we do that for each other. And sometimes we forget that that's a feature. People listen to you is a feature. It's not no bonus shit you got to pay extra for to get the people to, you know what I mean? Nah, it comes standard in a real friendship. You know what I'm saying? In that brotherhood. And, you know, I want people to know it's a common thing because I've done the same things too. You know, like my most recent one where I felt like I was just at my lowest was 2021 when I was like that whole year. Cause it was like I last toured in 2018 and I was on such a high and I was ready to tour again in 2020. And then obviously COVID and all that shit shut everything down. And I just did everything I could. You know, I wrote and released 2 books and dropped 2 represses and was doing everything I could, but there was still no shows. And like everything was just so fucking slow. There was really just, I mean, most people weren't really working in. Nobody, it was so much uncertainty. No one had no money to spend on none of this shit, you know? So the music industry, as I know it, as far as like what I did, what I typically do to make money was kind of dead. And it was like a year-long fucked up conversation I had to have with myself. And I talked about it before, it was like a long ass breakup, you know what I mean? Where I was just like struggling to come to terms that like this thing was over and that there wasn't no telling when it was going to come back, you know?
Yeah, I got to do something else.
Yeah, man. And so it was like my money was running out. And I remember like I had this week where I remember I was like, okay, I got just enough where if I got to go get my CDL, I can pay for it. And I got just enough to be able to put out another record if I need to. You know what I mean? Didn't know how I was going to get it back because it was still the turnaround on vinyl was so fucked up. Like you couldn't even get vinyl then. So it was like 2-year turnaround. So I was just stuck. Then like I had this week where like I had this bad storm and like the electrical box on the outside of my house started taking in water. And then that started dripping down into the electrical box on the inside of my house. It started taking water. And I was looking at like, yo, this shit is about to burn my entire fucking crib down. Called the electrician. Pew. It's not cheap. Any homeowner know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you. You start talking about getting your line taken out at the thing out there at the weatherhead, and then because you got to disconnect there, then you got to come back and get a certified electrician to do it and do the outside box. He come and do the inside box, get it sealed, and then when you do that, okay, so now you're gonna redo the box. So you got all this faulty wiring because this house is fucking 60 years old. So now you got to do all this wiring just to put the new box in there. $5,000 later.
Well, guess no record.
Right. I was sick. That was my exact thoughts. Like, well, you're not finna make no money this year. There went your record print. You know, it was that. And then it was like that same week that happened. Like I had this situation with just like this real estate deal where I was trying to sell this house. This lady's supposed to buy it in 2020. And she just refused to buy it and refused to give it back. And this shit led to like a fucked up lawsuit. So the whole so I was like, okay, I got this lawsuit coming up because I got to sue her. I just can't let her just keep my shit. You know what I'm saying? This is fucked up. And bro, started getting my lawyer. That same week I had to start paying retainers. I just remember that week it was like a $9,000. And I was like, that was like damn near my last one. I was like, yo, this is it. I can't do this shit. I paid them that deposit and I was like, because I was just kind of shocked. Like, is she really going to sit here and drag me into court
Yeah.
When all she got to do is just buy the house. Like, all she got to do is just do what she said she's going to do, fulfill the contract. Nope. She drug it out. And I knew right then and there, I was like, if this shit don't get settled before it even goes to court, we done. Because all the COVID shit had everything backed up a year and a half.
Yeah.
You couldn't file any like eviction notices or none of that shit. That shit impacted me in such a fucked up way. And so I was like, I was just sad. I was just like sad, like on some like why me shit. Had other just depressed, like what the fuck is going on? Running out of money, couldn't get nothing going here. And I just remember being in my car, man. And I was just like, why me, man? Like, you had those why me moments, like why me, Lord kind of moments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where like just literally a week before then, you had some hope.
Right. You saw beyond the horizon a little bit.
Yeah. Bro, it was no hope. As soon as all that shit happened, I just went right over to the CDL place. It was a trucking school right down the street from my crib. And I was like, let me just go on a tour. And I went on a tour. And by the time I got done with that tour, they had approved me for financing and approved me to start. I said, look, man, you can start whenever you want to. And I was like, I had a tour I was talking to Murs about going on.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I had to back out because I just wasn't going to make it. I wasn't going to make it. Like, it was one of those things where it's like, things had gotten so bad that it was like, dude, you're not going to be able to even make it onto that tour to make money to get back on your feet. Like, you do that, you're just going to delay this.
Right.
You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to get out of this shit and leave this shit. And I knew that if I left it was going to be a minute before I came back. You know, I knew that. And I was like, I need to get out of this shit because it's depressing. You know what I'm saying? When you sitting around and you're dealing with the pressure, you got tours, you fell through on touring, your crib is falling to pieces, you got a lawsuit, you know what I'm saying, against somebody. And like my lawyer was like $350 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd say that just because I don't want people to think that this shit was cheap. Right. This was basically like, it was not cheap. And this lady who I was suing, her son was a lawyer. So she got all of the shit for free. Her only goal was to just like bleed me dry financially, make me give up. I knew that. I was like, because her son is free, if she didn't have a free lawyer, she would have been settled and did right.
Oh yeah, easily.
But because her son was a lawyer, she just tried to made that shit last a whole year and a half. And it was just, and then only to go to like literally the day before we supposed to go to court to hit my lawyer, like, let's settle. All this shit. We could have done that the year before, a year and a half before. They drugged me through all of that shit. Spent easily 5 figures in lawyer fees. You know what I'm saying? Just to get through this shit. Because it was like, it was so fucked up, man. That was like a low. And like, I pretty much had to get out of it at that point. I was just like, I wasn't necessarily like fuck music, but I was feeling like you were feeling like maybe my time is done.
Yeah.
Like, maybe this is it. Like, I don't want to sit around and presume that I can come back, that I can be in it like I was in it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, when I get in this truck, I'm going to do everything I can to be good at this because I don't know if I'm going to ever fuck around with that again.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it and I'm going to do shit. And, we still did the podcast during that time, but anybody who was watching me on social media, I was very much gone. I would go.
Oh yeah. You wasn't posting nothing. Like, only thing you was posting was the podcast stuff. Like,
yeah, that's it.
You weren't posting anything related to music, nothing. Nothing.
No.
You wasn't retweeting nobody. You wasn't.
No.
You wasn't doing anything. And it's a hard thing to come to that realization.
Yeah.
With something that literally has been a part of you for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
To come to the realization that maybe I don't have this anymore. Maybe this isn't this isn't a part of my life anymore. And that's and it's especially with it being something you love and something that I mean, for you was doing it full time. So it was like, job on top of like, I get to wake up when I want, do what I want, how I want, when I want.
Yeah.
And to come to the realization like, yo, I got to go to work.
Yeah, dude.
Like this shit is over. Like I gotta get a job.
And a real job at that. Like trucking
real
is
job.
a real job. It's not no fucking walk in the park. It's not no easy shit. It's like a real job. Like I was working 70-hour weeks, man.
Yeah.
From the minute I got there, because I remember dudes saying like, hey man, if you want to get anywhere in trucking your first year, don't even come home. Just plan on sleeping in the truck as much as you can and just don't get comfortable so that you can just make all the money you need to make your first year too. So that's what I was doing. Like, you know, I would only be home maybe Saturday. I'll come home Saturday for us to do the podcast.
Yep. Back on the road
back on the road Sunday. So it was like I'll dip out Sunday evening, go somewhere and be delivering Monday to do the same thing. And we did that shit for like well over a year and a half. And until I could get back to the point to this. But like, you know, I remember at that point, I don't really feel like I had the only person who I could talk to about how I was feeling and what I was going through was my mom.
Mm-hmm.
About just like, you know, because she definitely had my back about just like the case and how that was just impacting me and everything that was at stake. And like, but there was other people I talked to who I tried to talk to who just dead ass did not understand or could not support me, even with just like time to listen. And so when I felt that, I was just like, I'm just going to dip because I don't want nobody to think that like, you know, they're forced to listen to me talk about this shit. But I noticed myself getting bitter. You know what I'm saying? I would talk to some of my hip hop friends during that time. And like, I just realized I had like a chip on my shoulder, like this anger, you know what I mean? Resentment towards, but then I realized like, yo, man, you can't be mad at the game. You know what I mean? The game is the game. Right. When it chose you, you was cool with it. If it ain't choosing you, you got to be equally cool with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so eventually I was like, I have to step away so that I don't lose my love for this shit.
Yeah.
Because only thing I felt I was like, the only thing that can make this worse is if I fuck this up and I force it and I lose it forever.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if you force this shit when you ain't got it and it ain't working for you, you'll never come back. You'll be so bitter.
You'll burn out.
Yeah.
You know, you'll get bitter. You'll get mad at the game because the game ain't giving you the love that it was giving you 2-3 years ago,
dude.
And then you start, like you said, you start blaming, you know, the industry, blaming music, start selling your equipment and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's because it got to that time for me, man. Like when I was really down, like I had synths and I had new mixers and all kind. I sold a lot of that shit during the time that I was feeling like I was done. Like I started selling shit off. You know what I'm saying? Like I really came because it was so sad. You know what I'm saying? I was so hurt, but it was like I need the money for one. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not in here making beats. I'm not doing that for what? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm feeling like I'm doing all this for nothing. So I was selling off equipment, selling all kind of shit. And you know, I got to the point where my studio was just my interface and my computer and my turntable. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that was really it for a long time. You know?
And you know what this reminds me of too is like, cause like what helped me turn things around too, and this is a fucked up thing to say, but during that time I was driving a truck, I literally didn't listen to no rap music. It would kind of distract me when I was, not that I hated rap, but more it was like, I just didn't want to think about that world. You know what I'm saying? So I would just listen to nothing but just like old soul music, old gospel music, really positive, uplifting, happy music. And because, you know, we love rap, but it ain't always got that element. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For the most part, it's not uplifting. No, you know what I'm saying? For the most part,
hustle music and talk shit. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I couldn't really find that. So I but what that helped me do was kind of just like fall in love with music again. Yeah. I started making these like 10, 12-hour playlists on Spotify that were just crazy. And so, because, you know, you be driving 11 hours a day and you don't want to hear the same thing to it. So I started making these playlists of new music and shit I never fucked with before. Man, I started loving music again as a fan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Which started kind of getting me into, okay, let me just bring my MIDI controller out there with me, you know, and my laptop. So I started kind of doing that a little bit. So if I had an hour here and there, I'd try to work on some beats and work on some melodies. And that shit helped me tremendously, man. But, you know, sometimes it's like, one thing I would like to say that is something that most people don't want to say is that, like, sometimes when you're depressed, you think it's more than it is. But like, sometimes you're not really depressed. Sometimes you just need to make some fucking money.
Yeah.
And, you know, we talked about in the last episode, like, money only solves money related problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of people, the money issue causes this domino effect where your whole life is now compromised, your joy is compromised, your relationships are compromised, all because this fucking elephant in the room of not making the money you should be making.
Yep.
And when you solve that money problem, you solve all the other problems by default.
Yeah.
Right? We can't solve health problems like that. We got familial problems, certain relationships. Right. Money can't solve those. So don't,
right.
I'm not suggesting that, but I'm saying that, man, what I noticed every week when I looked up on Thursday night, when that fucking direct deposit would hit my bank account, I felt
you was cool.
better. Yeah, I was like, oh, this feels better.
Yeah, exhale. You know what I mean? Yep.
Every week, I would wake up in my bunk and parked in some dock in my truck because I got the night for it. And I go to sleep, man. I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna see if this direct deposit hit. Boom, every week. Okay, another $1,000. Okay, all right. Let me pay some bills and get some people off my back. Okay, let me do this. Let me save this much. Let me do this. And I just started feeling better, man. I started feeling better because there was hope. This is why on this show, we've never been the kind of guys to say, don't get a fucking job.
Yep.
Go all in on this shit nah. The job is what saves you from the pressure of this shit.
Yep.
Because the pressure that I felt in this shit was because I refused to get a job when I probably should have got a fucking job.
Yep.
If I'd have made the move I made a year or 2 years earlier, it'd have been night and day. But the fact of the matter was I kept waiting and denying and trying to negotiate in the fucking 7 stages of grief before I could just get the fucking job and fix my fucking life.
Yeah.
And the stigma of it and how would people look at me and what if people saw this and Blueprint's doing this and once I let all that shit go, it was like, dude, every man has a period in their life where they have to disappear and do this shit.
Yep.
What causes us a lot of this stress and anxiety is we don't want to fucking do it. We don't want to bite the bullet and do it.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but that was my case. You know, like, I think a lot of musicians in the industry need to definitely consider that it's okay to get a job.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all right, man. You want to not get a job and then you want to deal with, because the financial shit can fucking get on top of your head and have you not even want to get out of bed every morning.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because like you said, like the financial stuff causes problems in other areas of your life.
Yeah, man.
You know, so in a lot of cases, like, ain't nobody saying, you know, you got to get some corporate gig where you got to go to, you know, work in a monkey suit every day and all that kind of shit. But, you know, the reason that your wife is stressing you because the lights ain't on.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The reason she's stressed because the kids might not have enough food in the fridge and you in your studio banging away at something that's not paying the bills right now. You know, like, and that's a hard conversation to have with yourself, you know, especially if you've been doing it for a while and that shit dries up. And then you got people looking at you or you looking at yourself like, okay, what now? You know what I'm saying? Like, where do I go now? How am I going to pay this mortgage? How am I going to pay this light bill? How am I going to get my car fixed? How am I, you know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff. And, you know, if you just buckle down and just say, okay, you know, let me go here and, you know, make this $20 an hour real quick, you know, get that consistent, you know, $1,500 every week or 2 weeks in my account, get myself right. You know what I mean? It's I don't understand why it's so hard for people. I mean, I understand, but I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like there has to be a point where you're like, okay, fuck all this dumb shit. Like I can't eat. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not eating. I don't got no food. Like fuck what everybody think. I gotta go get a job.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get that part either. Like I get it because for me, obviously I feel like it took me longer to get to that point to be like, okay, nah, fuck it, I'm doing it. But for the average person who's not been a career artist their full-time job, it's like, you need to step the fuck away because it's probably easier for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Than it is the person who's only been doing that. You can hop back in a job force at any time if you ain't been doing it like 20 fucking years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, dude, you can't wait on that because there's such a high price to pay. And reading this article, it also made me have some thoughts about just like things that happen that artists do that would not necessarily be classified as suicide, but in my opinion, come from like the same energy. So like, we may not, how many musicians or full-time artists or people trying to do this shit, maybe they did not like take their own life, but maybe they just set themselves up to have their lives taken by somebody else.
Yeah.
Acting recklessly.
Yep.
Playing with guns, you know, because when we see people do all this stuff, we like, oh, it's a cry for help.
Yep.
A lot of times the self-destructive behavior is suicidal to some extent.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because the pressure of you need some kind of outlet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because the thing about, especially artists that get on these majors and all that stuff, it's not fun anymore. It becomes a job. It becomes, okay, I got this $1 million advance that I gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, the label is on my head about this record that need to come out. I gotta go on this tour because I'm in this 360 deal when I ain't gonna come out with nothing because they're gonna take all my money because I still owe, you know what I mean? And all these pressures that they have, then they start, you know, doing the drugs to escape because the music isn't the escape no more. The music is the problem. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The music starts to become the problem. And, you know, for a lot of people, music probably started out as their escape, as their therapy, as their thing they turned to when they were stressed out. And then when you get to those levels, then the shit becomes the stress. It becomes the reason that I got anxiety. It becomes the reason that I don't want to go outside and be in front of people, you know, and that's a hard thing to deal with when the thing you love kind of turns into your biggest enemy. Yeah. Yeah, it's deep. Because, I was going to say that too, like a lot of the drug overdoses and shit like that. I would put that right there with the gunplay, the reckless shit like that, where it's like, you may not have come out and said, I don't value my life anymore. But the way you conducted yourself with these things that could threaten your life shows otherwise, right? Right. It's like a passive way of doing it. And I would bet how many studies have come. I would like to see that studied as well, right? Because I think that a lot of people in our industry may do it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just stop giving a fuck. They don't care who they offend. They don't care. Oh yeah, I'll pop the trunk too. They don't care what they got to lose no more. They've already checked out. You know what I mean? So let's take a break and then we'll come back and just talk about just like 4 basic ways to handle this if you're feeling this way. I hope you guys are getting something out of this. And if you have been feeling these feelings, keep your head up. Take a break and we'll be right back. Quick announcement. We have officially launched the Super Duty Tough Work website, and we would like to officially invite you as a listener of the show to go check it out. The website is superdutytoughwork.net. Again, that's superdutytoughwork.net. Go there and check out the site. You can do 4 things on there right now. The first thing you can do is listen to the podcast. Second thing you can do is purchase books. The third thing you can do is book coaching calls. And the fourth thing you can do on the website is purchase ads for your business on the show. So this is the first time you have been able to do that all in one place. So please take a second, go over to superdutytoughwork.net, sign up for our email newsletter over there, and support the movement. Back to the show. Are you an artist who has the talent to succeed, but has a hard time executing? Do you have the will to win, but lack the plan? Are you tired of having great ideas that never come to fruition, or starting new projects but never finishing them? If you answered yes to any of these questions, reach out to me at superdutytoughwork@weightless.net to book a one-on-one coaching call. Tell me a little bit about who you are,
what you're trying to do, and I'll see if I can be of service to you. Have a great day. All right, folks, we're back. Super Duty Tough Work, Blueprint Illogic. We're talking about mental health in the music industry. Before we get out of here, this episode is drawing close to an end. We don't want to talk about this stuff to where it gets too heavy.
Right.
Because we are beyond that. We've moved past that. Logic is back on his feet, writing dope rhymes again, feeling like a grown man, super MC.
Right.
I've been back doing music full time again since January of 24. A little over a year. Last year I started back again. And so and my mental health is up. Since I got back in this shit feels great. But it's like so I don't want to harp on it that we're still in that place. But I do want to take a minute and just talk about these 4 things that I've got from just like online stuff I looked at. And these are things that I'm sure we talk about and people have heard of what you should do if you are feeling any kind of way about this. Any of the feelings that we felt and described on this, from suicidal to depression to long-term, just like, hopelessness, especially if you are a musician or otherwise. Like the number one thing to do is to call a loved one.
Or just talk to a therapist.
Talk to a therapist.
Somebody.
Talk to somebody, right?
Yes.
Like, don't leave all of that chaos and turmoil in your head. Talk to somebody. Additionally, go visit somebody. Like, it's okay. Like, if you have a friend that you know that usually lifts your spirit or keeps you balanced or always adds some levity or they have things going on, go to them. Hey man, can I come through, kick it with you for a minute? I want to stop by and just to get out the house. And you know what I'm saying? It's needed. A lot of this shit is like you talked about, you didn't talk to anybody. I had no idea till a little later how I was feeling. I might have gave you some updates, but I don't think I ever told you how just down I really fucking was.
Yeah, the depths of, how you were down. Yeah, because I knew about the events going on, but I didn't know how they were actually affecting you. You didn't tell me that part. Yeah,
man, it was just fucked up. So it's like we both could have reached out to one another and spoken more in depth about it. Just be a place where that person can speak to us at length about it. And that kind of goes with as well, like, check in on your friends, man. Check in on your people, especially if you know that they're dealing with something that's very real. Send them a text every now and again. Give them a call every now and again. Just check their temperature. You know what I'm saying? See how they doing.
Yeah, that shit helps, man. Like I know like I have a weekly call with Ill Poetic and my cousin and all them. And some weeks, dog, we just use it as a fucking session to just talk to each other about what's going on in our lives. We don't talk about no music shit. We don't talk about nothing that involves any of the shit that we working on. Because, there's times when one of us or all of us or some of us are going through some life shit and we need somebody to talk to. And luckily, we're all close friends. So we have that within each other. But there's weeks that we're on the phone for 2-3 hours just, this week has been, you know what I'm saying? It's been, the life has been lifing on me, yo,
Yeah, it's needed, man. It's needed. And it's okay. Don't feel like you're being a burden to somebody. I mean, my advice was, obviously, everybody in your life is not built to deal with this. Choose wisely. You have 1 or 2 people who you can talk to about these things, and they will always pick up. They will make time for you, and they will let you, speak about it. That's number 1. Number 2, let it out. For us, as we talked about, we have art, we have music. I try to tell artists this a lot. Whenever I'm like talking to an artist and they're like, I can't write because this happened or that happened, I try to tell them that's exactly when you should be writing.
Yeah, write about it.
Write about it, because like you, when you write about it, you capture moments and you capture emotions that you may look back on, and it gives you much greater perspective. Like there's songs I listen to in my catalog, and sometimes they hit me hard.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like it'll be like damn near like tears in my eyes, because it takes me back to that moment. Even though I've left that time in that situation, I'm like, damn, I really wrote. If I wouldn't have wrote that thing then, I would have never remembered where I was at that moment.
Yeah.
You know, and
I got a lot of those.
consequently, like where I've come from, right?
Right.
Oh no, your mic is acting a little weird, but
oh really?
Yeah.
You hear me?
Just keep going because we'll get the audio anyway. But,
okay.
But yeah, like use your art, you know what I'm saying, to talk about it. Use your journal if you have a journal, a blog, whatever you use. Write letters to yourself and to others. Document how you are feeling so that you can get back to it. If you're frustrated, it's okay to say, I'm fucking pissed off. It's okay to yell about this shit and let it out. Not letting it out is what causes the problems.
Right.
You know, so let it out. Number 3 way to handle this kind of stuff is to get outside. Walk, ride your bike, get some sun on your skin and your face, get some wind in your fucking, on your back and in your hair and in your fucking face. Go outside. Be around nature. Get out of these confines that we are trapped in 24/7. You know, you'd be surprised what like being out in nature around running, you know, fresh water, or you bike. Like I used to bike whenever I was really down. I would bike a lot, you know, and on the trails in Columbus, I would be seeing fucking, no matter how down I was, I see a big ass fucking family of raccoons or giant deer. And that shit would always just lift my spirits, you know, just being in the fucking woods in an area that's not the city, not this suffocating surrounding sometimes. It's okay. Get outside, which includes exercising, obviously. And then the number 4 thing is work on having a positive inner dialogue. You know, as a man thinketh, so he is, right? So like, understand that like your thoughts control how you see yourself. The moment you learn how to control your thoughts, that means you will no longer be controlled by negative thoughts. It's never a switch that's overnight, but eventually you learn how to turn the negative inner dialogue into just like a positive mindset, or seeing the brighter side, or, you know, being the glass half full guy instead of the glass half empty guy. The circumstances don't change. Only thing that changes is how we view them. Right.
Right.
So we want to change our inner dialogue so that it is extremely positive. Like when I tell motherfuckers, I be like, yo, my inner dialogue, I'm fucking 10 feet tall, like Shaq size, you know what I'm saying? With a fucking 8-foot dick. You know what I mean? Like that's my inner dialogue is that wild. It's like I'm a billionaire with an 8-foot dick and I'm 10 feet tall. Like that's how I talk to myself. Because I know that if I don't talk to myself like that, I'll be off the fucking ledge somewhere, depressed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it starts with me. I take ownership in that regard. So I do that so no one else can impact how I feel about me, you know? And so, control your inner dialogue.
Yeah, that's a super important one for me because, you know, if those that have followed my career throughout know I have some pretty depressing songs in my in the coffers there. Yeah. And I was a glass half empty dude for a very, very long time. One of the reasons why, you know, I might not have been as approachable back in the day, you know, because I didn't have the self-confidence. I was depressed a lot. I was going through a lot of shit just internally, and, you know, just growing up and getting more confident, and it's just kind of happened, you know. And honestly, this podcast helped me a lot with my confidence and talking and being, you know, just open to communicate and things like that. And honestly, us doing this over the years has really helped me with my confidence. And now I'm more of a glass half full kind of dude. You know, like at this point, I give everybody a chance, give everything a chance until you fuck me over. You know what I mean? Like until you show me that you're untrustworthy or I can't fuck with you. Yeah. We good. Yep. You know, I'll smile in your face and be the nicest dude. You know what I'm saying? Until you show me a reason I shouldn't be. Yeah. But Yeah, man, it's definitely a long road. I've come from the other side of it, and it can get pretty dark on that side. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. All right. So that's it, folks. That's it for this week, man. You know, we had a 2.5 hour episode last week. This week, we're going to try to keep it to an hour.
Keep it short.
Keep it short and sweet, you know, so we can keep pumping these out because they don't take me forever to produce, you know. So, yeah, I want to thank y'all for listening. Obviously, the website, superdutytoughwork.net is here. You know, we got books, coaching. We got, you can book your ads over there. You can send us a message over there. Listen to episodes over there. So yeah, head over there to the new website and check us out. Thank you for your support. We see y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Super Duty Tough Work. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Follow the podcast on SoundCloud. Peace.
Shoot, I got styles already that's more complex that nobody know about. I mean, super duty tough work.